So I was thinking about just, jumping back into work, and it's pretty low impact. So I'm able to eat and drink without any real difficulty.
Okay, so like all types of foods pretty much? Or are you trying to stick to softer foods?
I'm still doing kind of softer foods because I can eat, harder foods, but I just need to take my time with it, and I can get it down.
Okay.
But the softer foods that are just a little easier.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
Light counts up to 4. Hemoglobin is 11, and platelets are 138. So you can go back to work.
Good deal. Thanks, Doc.
All right.
So
And
does that mean you can do the dishes too?
And take out the garbage.
I never changed. Wait a minute. I didn't have to do that when I was sick now.
Yeah. Yes. Who takes out the garbage?
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
I did it last night. It was freaking cold out there.
It was freezing.
All week it's going to be like that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad.
-7
Hopefully we get a
on
break.
Thursday and Friday.
All right, then we'll set you back up for clinic maybe next Thursday.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Seems like just yesterday. However, 3 years ago, Jim was not feeling very well. He had what seemed to be flu symptoms on a Sunday. It had happened very fast on a Sunday. He just came back from playing volleyball with Josie at the Vaughn Center, and he was saying he just felt a little bit weak and put a blanket on and watched TV, which isn't like him.
I didn't get a flu shot. They always got the flu shots. I didn't get a flu shot. I'm tough as nails. And then a week went by, and my wife threw that back at me. She's like, "Oh, you're tough as nails, huh? You go in, I think you got the flu."
I got a call from Jim, who was calling me from an ambulance, and he said he was on his way to Edward Hospital because they felt like at the immediate care place in Oswego that he had pneumonia.
We were, at the hospital. I felt safe. I felt like we were with all this equipment and doctors. And then he told Jim that he wanted to do a bone marrow biopsy the next day because he feared leukemia. At about that time is when I started feeling like I was going to pass out. I remember feeling like I'm spinning. I had a hard time breathing. I felt darkness. I just felt myself about to go.
It happened quick. I felt like there was something that was going on and it wasn't good. In fact, my brother BJ came to visit me before I left Edwards. And he said, "How you doing?" And I said, "This is not good. I can feel it in my bones."
My initial reaction was to just look up information as much as I could. I Googled for hours just to know what was going on so I could fully understand it. And once things got worse and worse, I just kept on reading more and more about his cancer. And it helped me because I knew what was going to happen almost before it happened.
Most of my emotions, I kind of put them away. I didn't like to tell a lot of people. I just kind of focused on other things. Like, I was in band at the time. I just did that a lot. I practiced a lot. My best coping mechanism is just not dealing with it, just putting it away.
They're trying to handle one of the most deadly pneumonias you can have, which was Legionella. And they had him on different antibiotics, and they had him on all different things. And he had an allergic reaction. His blood pressure started to drop, and then everything snowballs. Everything's kind of interconnected. So then the next thing you know, within a week or so, things started really heading south.
quintessential animal for origami is the crane. And I was reading a little bit more into the crane, and there's a backstory behind folding origami cranes. And it started with a girl who survived the Hiroshima blast, the atomic bomb. She survived that she quickly developed radiation poisoning and was in the hospital. And she remembered another story from way back when, that if you fold 1,000 cranes, that your prayer would be answered. So she started folding cranes towards her health and got into, I believe, the 600 range of cranes before she passed away. So then fast forward to the situation with Jim. So we were all fairly stressed out with the whole family and the extended family in the waiting room. And I remember looking at Julia and Josie, Jim's daughters, and they're just sitting there kind of not knowing, not understanding a lot of what was going on. And the story of 1,000 cranes popped into my head. So I told them the story. I left out the part about the little girl dying because I didn't want them to think that that is what was going to happen. But they immediately wanted to learn how to fold cranes.
When my Uncle Paul first taught us everybody to make cranes, he taught me first how to make the cranes, me and Julia. And then we eventually taught the rest of our family. And then I remember when my dad was in the ICU, there was actually some people in the waiting room with us that got close to our family, and they learned how to make cranes as well. And I thought that was really fun. People we didn't even know just cared so much about us and knew what we were going through and knew what our family was going through because their family was going through the same thing.
I just know that he inspired the kids, and he inspired every adult that came to visit to set a goal of 1,000 cranes, and that if we could make these 1,000 cranes, that our, our prayers and our dreams and our wishes might come true.
But we started making, I would stay up till 1 making cranes, wake up at 4 or 5 to make cranes just because that's the only thing I wanted to do. And it just became a second nature. It was like burned into my unconscious mind how to make cranes. And eventually my friends always saw me in school. I would just be making cranes at school, and they started making them. And so it's just something that was a part of what I did, and it was the main reason that I was able to get through it.
There were so many of them, they used to put them on thread strings and hung them in the intensive care window and all over the place. And Father Ron used to bring some of the nurses' aides or some people that he wanted them to see his room because it was full of these cranes all over the place. It was just really great. And that was encouraging to all of us.
And as we were making them and hanging them in the room started to fill up with color and beauty. And then I want to say right around the time we were getting really close to or at 1,000 cranes, we just started hearing little tiny pieces of hope, like the littlest of things. Like it started with the nurse said, I was able to get rid of one of his blood pressure medicines today.
Jim was sitting up talking in bed, that the doctor had taken an initiative, even though his numbers didn't qualify for this to happen. He had taken the initiative on removing the breathing tube, and they put just normal oxygen to keep his breathing moving. And normal oxygen was only required for a period of about a half an hour, and then he was breathing on his own.
I remember getting a call from Jim after he could talk and when he was awake, and thanking me because when he woke up he saw 1,000 cranes all over the room and in the window.
I just felt very blessed, and I felt like God doesn't give you any more than you can handle. And when he gives you a problem or a strife, it's for you. It may not feel like it, but it's for you. It's for you for some reason or for somebody else or both. And I just feel like my faith has been strengthened through this whole thing. And I don't worry so much about outcomes. I worry so much about, what am I going to do with the time I have? Am I going to live each day one day at a time? It sounds cliche, but it's very true. You have to, because we're not promised anything. But if you try to live your life fully every day and make that a pattern in your life, when these kind of things happen, it won't traumatize you. It won't hurt you like you think it would on the outside.